Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Cancer is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Cancer, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Prince of Cups. This is someone who is very authentic. I feel like you're learning in life how to just be yourself. The opinions of other people don't matter. The vibes of other people don't matter. Everybody's on their own stuff, you know? You got to be on your own kick. You've got to be yourself. And hold true, hold fast, hold tightly to what you believe. You're a bubble in an ocean. You know, I feel like you're in a almost like a hostile emotional environment, or it feels that way, where the life around you would really like for you to just be like it, conform to it. But I feel like you're saying, no, I'm different. I'm unique. I am myself through and through. And I love this energy. I feel like you're very artistic. I feel like you got something to say. You've got something inside of you that's trying to get out into the world, you know. It's time you use your voice. Yeah. Let's put this card into a little bit of context. Let's see what's going on for you. We have a Wheel of Fortune. Oh, yeah. I feel like things are really improving in your life in a major way. Here's an 8 of Cups, 10 of Wands, 5 of Wands, that assertive 5-fingered hand, right? And, of course, that Hierophant again for you. Yeah, showing that you are who you're meant to be, and you are not a follower. Okay, you're a leader. You're an expert. You're building up yourself into an authority figure or into someone of knowledge. There's a maturity happening in you, and there's an acknowledgement of that. You know, you're the magician. Look at that. Very cool. 8 of Swords again, yeah, that makes sense. 2 of Swords, though. See, now what we're looking for is that mental peace. And this is very, and a Knight of Swords, decisions. Very much related to the last reading that we did for you. With this mental energy, and that 2 of Swords, this is the name of the game. This is peace. This is you sleeping very, very well at night. Okay? Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the Factor Infinite and Unknown. We're going to set it down over here with Tiny Bob Ross right on top. We're not going to look at that happy little card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments right below the video, okay? Now, let's look around the room. We see major, 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 okay? Your efforts and a little bit of luck, right, are transforming you and your life into what you're meant to be. I love that. 3 of the very best major arcana cards that we could get. We have fire and fire back here. Of course, you have your water and your air, okay? And, you know, no earth cards per se, but the Wheel of Fortune is kind of earthy. And, of course, the Hierophant is a Taurus energy, so that's kind of earthy as well. I feel like this is really like, you know, this is your heart and your mind really like accepting the truth that you're growing and your life is growing and you're becoming more successful, you know. But let's start with the Prince of Cups again anyway. Emotional mastery, stability. It's empathy, okay? But it's saying protect your energy from too much of the influence of other people. I feel you're very sensitive. You're very much aware of the feelings around you, the vibes, right? Very sensitive to vibes. And you don't have to let all those vibes in, okay? You're developing an emotional maturity. You're very steady with your emotions. You feel your feelings fully, but you don't let them drive the boat, nor do you let the emotions of other people drive your boat, okay? You can be compassionate and you can be empathic, but with boundaries, okay? You hold space for others, yes, but without abandoning yourself, without just losing your sense of self, right? You got to be that bubble in the ocean. Speak from the heart. Stay grounded and stay clear. You have a very stabilizing presence in your life right now. I feel like your role in life is expanding. Your stature is expanding. You're growing and your life is growing. People are probably coming to you for advice, coming to you for just a sense of safety or security or even familiarity. Okay? Your emotional consistency is your leadership right now. Your emotional steadiness is your strength. And there's a calm confidence with this card. Yeah. And I feel like as you grow, your presence in the world is growing. Your role in the larger universe is growing, you know. I feel like as you use your voice, as you allow your true and authentic self to flow freely forth from you, there is more people. There's a larger network around you. Yeah. I kind of feel like you're getting more well-known in some way. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm feeling. But we also have the Eight of Cups. And we're gonna talk about the Eight of Cups before we move on to the Wheel of Fortune. The Eight of Cups is emotional maturity. It's you recognizing or feeling as if you have the power to walk away from something that no longer fulfills you. Okay? This is about you honoring your inner truth. Okay? When something resonates with you, you're confident enough to go after it. When something does not resonate with you, you are wise enough and strong enough to walk away from it. It's not about abandoning anybody else. It's about not abandoning yourself, your authentic voice inside of you, the bubble in the ocean, the hostile ocean. It's air in a big pool of water. And that air is not really safe. The water is trying to crush it into a million little molecules. You're holding fast to yourself, to your truth. Okay, so the Eight of Cups is a very important card. Old emotional patterns are fading. Okay. And I think that you're able to more closely align yourself with spirit. See, the Eight of Cups is basically saying the spirit's already left the thing. And then your behaviors have to catch up to that. I feel like this is like a quickening of that process. If you're not feeling it, you're out of there. If you are feeling it, you're going to engage. You're going to be front and center. You're going to be like the star of the show, the life of the party, you know. If you're not feeling the vibe, you're going to quickly leave the party. And I think that, a lot of this is you trusting yourself. You can leave quietly, You're honoring that inner truth. And I feel that this is you with the trust. And I'm not saying even right now that there's anything in your life that you should be walking away from. Because if there were, you will have already done it. Because that's how you're operating now. You're trusting yourself. You're realizing that you have the wisdom, and you're not running to somebody and saying, what should I do? It's like you know what to do. Okay? And it's even battling that mental energy. We have all of this air, right? The thoughts. Or let's say these two. Okay, the overthinking versus the mental peace. Trusting your intuition has always been a little bit difficult for you because you have an overactive mind. But now with that 8 of Cups, I think you're trusting your intuition. You're realizing that you don't have to overthink everything. You don't need all the answers. If you feel it, you move in that direction. If something's not resonating with you, goodbye. If something is resonating with you, then we say hello, right? And that's really the Wheel of Fortune. Things happen in cycles. Things come and go. You know what this reminds me of is when my daughter was little, when she was like maybe 2, she used to sit in my office chair when I had a day job. And she would want me to spin her around in my office chair. You know, it's just one of those chairs that swivel around. And I'd spin her, and every time she would go away from me, she would say goodbye, and then she'd come back around the other side, and she'd be coming toward me, and she'd say hello. She'd say goodbye, and hello, goodbye, and hello. That's the Wheel of Fortune. Okay? Opportunities, synchronicities, things that happen across our path. It's divine timing. Things are shifting for you. Some things you have to say hello to. Other things you're going to say goodbye to. Mystery card, probably a 4 of Wands. It's change. It's divine timing. You're not resisting this movement, right? You're saying yes to invitations. You're saying goodbye to things that feel like they've either overstayed their welcome or they just don't resonate with you. Okay. I think primarily this week is about you saying yes to things. This is about you favoring action and visibility, taking positive risks. Things that may have felt blocked are now unblocking. If they've felt stuck, they're getting unstuck. And there may be a situation that is resolving faster than you thought it would. Trust in the timing. I believe that there probably was very recently something that you said goodbye to. And that has now opened up the opportunity for you to say hello to something even better. I feel like you're being lifted up into a new phase. Okay, a new season of your life. Yeah, and gratitude is going to accelerate this shift. Move with the momentum. Life is opening up for you. There's expansion. There's growth. Your life is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You're taking up more space. And that's a good thing. There's plenty of space out there. You can take up as much as you need. Yeah. I like this. I think this is very, very positive expansion. So you're saying yes to anything that's gonna that feels like maybe this is gonna be good. Maybe this is gonna be expansive. You're saying no. See, here we have Saturn in Pisces. Saying no to anything that feels constricting. Saying yes to anything that feels expansive. We have a lot of Saturn energy, actually, in your reading. In fact, we've got a lot of Jupiter and a lot of Saturn. This is Jupiter. This is Jupiter. This is Saturn, Saturn, Saturn. Okay? And Saturn is the restriction of force, the binding, the discipline, and, the control, whereas Jupiter is expansion. It is a free growth of something. That's why the 8 of Swords is a Jupiter energy, because it's the unfettered expansion of your thoughts. And, so it's an overactive mind, right? It's too much thinking, too much complexity. It's an expansiveness of what should be simple. Anyway, the 10 of Wands back here is really, it's kind of this energy where you may have felt like you had to say yes to everything, or not even say yes to everything, but kind of like when something appeared in your life, when something happened in the world, it was now a brick in your backpack. You had to carry it around with you. Because this is kind of like who's deciding what we're carrying, what we're taking on, and what we're not. Okay, well now, with the Magician and with all these cards, you are. But there may have been a point in your life very recently where you felt overworked or overburdened, or there was too much stuff being put on your plate, and you didn't know how to say yes or no to any of it. Okay? Over responsibility, overburdened, where you didn't really have a say in what was piled on your shoulders. Okay? I feel like you kind of remember what that weight felt like. But now you have this surge of confidence and energy and power where you can just say no. You can walk, if it's not resonating, you can walk away from it. Not feeling obligated, you know. And I don't know if this was coming from a particular person in your life where you just kind of felt like you weren't allowed to say no. Okay? Or that there was some sort of unfair power dynamic. And it was almost like we're afraid to see that person down in the halls because they're going to give us something else to do. You don't have to carry that anymore. You can easily drop those things. And I think that's really what we see with the contrast between the Eight of Cups and the Five of Wands there. We're saying yes to what we want. We're saying no to what we don't. You can lighten the load. You can release the burdens that just aren't productive for you anymore. Your productivity does not equal your value or your worth. Rest does not equal weakness. So this may have even been a mental thing where you felt like whatever anybody asked of you, you had to agree to or say yes to, in order to prove something to them or to please them in some way, or to prove your strength. True strength, you're realizing, doesn't need to be proven. True strength doesn't need to be us baring our teeth, with veins popping out of our head because we're carrying so much weight. Okay, almost feeling like you had to do more than everybody else, faster and harder and stronger and better, and you had to carry more weight than everybody else just to prove something. You don't have to do that anymore. I don't think you realize that that's part of being a bubble in an ocean. It's a hostile environment. You don't have to prove anything. Stay true to yourself. The Five of Wands that we have up here, this is competition. This is friction. But this is something that really is testing your strength, and sometimes your strength is your ability to say no. Your ability to say, I don't have to do that. It's like someone, it's like, remember Back to the Future, anytime anybody called Marty McFly a coward or chicken or yella, right? He'd get himself into a situation probably wasn't too good for him. But so this is us not being provoked. It's our ability to restrain. See, there's a Saturn energy here. Our ability to restrain our power. Otherwise, someone comes along and they poke you with a stick and you wild out. This is your ability to control yourself. And say, I don't need to waste energy on that. I don't need to compete with other people. If I want to, if I'm resonating with this and I want to do it, I can use my five-fingered hand, right, to reach out, and I can take charge, I can take command. I have the strength. True strength is knowing that you don't always have to show it off. It doesn't always have to be on display. Yeah. And I think that this is that kind of confidence. Yeah. This is you being strong enough to do the push-pull, and to have the friction, and to compete, and to fight, and to wrestle with something when you need to. but for a reason. You're picking your battles here. It's not taking it personally, not being provoked or drawn into any kind of a battle or entanglement. That's not meant for you. Yeah. And this could also be now your intentional focus into things like intentional movement, working out, creativity. Yeah. This may be a healthy competition and not a battle of egos. You're learning to hold your center under pressure. Yeah. You're staying aligned with your true self and with your direction, even when there is pressure, even when there's noise, with all of that. Because you're the Hierophant. You're the one who knows. You're the one who gets to decide how you use your energy. You decide which course of action is sacred to you. This is wisdom. This is guidance. This is a spiritual practice. Okay? I feel like you're very grounded in your spiritual practice, meditation, prayer, journaling, reading, writing, all that stuff. I feel like you don't have to look to anybody and think like, what am I supposed to do? I feel like you know. I feel like you look within and you know what to do. I don't know, maybe you're into martial arts or something like that. It could be. Okay. I feel like you have the experience to know and to trust yourself in any situation. I think you have a lot of good rituals that help to ground you and strengthen your energy. Yeah. I think that your true strength and your true wisdom is coming through a repetition of basically these two cards. Your ability to say no and say yes. Your ability to fight and your ability to say no thank you. And I think that's how you're growing in this experience. Now, I like the Hierophant because it's really saying, like, I don't need permission to be myself. That you have this spiritual sovereignty. Just as the Emperor kind of shows us our earthly sovereignty, this is our spiritual sovereignty. You don't need permission. Okay? You're living your life as you deem appropriate. You're a bubble in an ocean. You may be surrounded by a lot of hostile forces that would love nothing more than to crush you into smithereens, or to get you, even better, to get you to conform to their beliefs, their values, their way of doing things. Okay? Not for any other reason than just for dominance. So I feel like you have this resistance to you now, where you're going to be yourself no matter what. If you like something, everybody else doesn't like it, you don't have to change your opinion. You don't have to change your values because everybody else around you has different values than you. You know that your values are sacred to you, just as theirs are to them. Live and let live, You don't have to conform to that mob mentality just to fit in, because there you don't have anything to prove. You don't need to fit in. Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Let me know which card on the path of the dove resonates with you the most, Cancer. Okay. The Magician as your general energy. This is manifestation. This is your focus. This is your personal power. This is how you communicate. This is how you pick your goals and you commit to that goal and you accomplish that goal. You turn your idea into action. You turn your intention into reality. The image in your head, you turn your vision into a concrete form. You're giving something form here. Okay? You have all the tools and skills and resources that you need to manifest your will. You are communicating clearly. You're asking directly. You're speaking the word. You're not even asking sometimes. You're just making a statement. Okay? You're taking very deliberate actions. And I think you're somebody that also likes to track things. like you kind of keep track of, like you probably have a budget, you probably do spreadsheets, you probably like to make lists and things like this, you know. I think that's good. It's staying organized. It's you tracking what is important to you, tracking what matters to you, okay? And I think that you're making a lot of progress. I think that you are growing in confidence because you're paying attention to the winds. And you have this ability to focus your energy, this power of concentration, to where you're not being distracted by all the other things. Again, the bubble in the ocean. The bubble is just there doing its bubble stuff. When there's all this pressure, all these emotions, all these other vibes around it, you're staying true to what matters to you, and you're focusing on that work, whatever that is. You're causing change and conformity with your will. You are the magician, and you're doing a very good job at being the magician. Okay, the tarot is really teaching us, reminding us how to be a better magician. Yeah. And this is literally everything on the path of the dove is how you're being a better magician. Every time you do it, you get better and better and better at being a magician. The magician realizes that life happens. The universe, the world, or the fortune, the Wheel of Fortune card represents the world outside of us that we cannot control. The magician realizes that it has to adapt to this if it's going to have any influence over the state of that world. If we want to create our reality, we have to respond to those things that happen around us. We have to see opportunities and we have to seize them. Spirit's going to put the right people, places, and things on your path when and where you need them, but it's up to you to engage those things. And to do that, we have to pay attention. To do that, we have to get out of our head a little bit. We don't want to self-sabotage. We don't want to make things too complicated. It's a really simple, intuitive kind of thing. Do you feel it or not? Okay. The Two of Swords is really a card about how we make decisions. And it's by thinking, doing the math, running the numbers. Then once you run the numbers, you follow your intuition. But the Eight of Swords is, I just keep running the numbers. I'm stuck in that loop. Okay? We want to run the numbers and then stop and follow our heart or our intuition or our gut or our instinct. The problem with the Eight of Swords is that sometimes we get stuck running the numbers. This is the internal loop, the mental trap, the overthinking, the rumination, the looping back in. Oh no. It's like when you're on that spreadsheet, you know, and you put the wrong formula in somewhere and it just keeps trying to circle. It's like a circular formula. And so you get that little like red triangle that says, something's wrong here. And that's kind of what this card is. It's like there's some kind of loop that we're stuck in. It's not spitting out the answer we want, right? So we've got to avoid this. We have to find ways to calm this energy down, get out of our head, get out of our thought loop, okay? We do that either through interoception, right, which we talked about last time, meditation, clarity, going within, self-awareness, paying attention to the state of the body, being in our bodies, and exteroception, paying attention to things that are happening out there. Solving a problem or a puzzle that's going on out, engaging with the world external to us in some way, paying attention out there to get us out of the thought loop, okay? And I think that we have a lot of tools that we can use to maintain clarity, to protect ourselves a little bit from this mental loop. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting up and getting to a different environment, going outside, moving around, that sort of thing. And even sometimes, saying things out loud. Turn all these thoughts into speech. One, it forces us to slow down. Same as journaling. Forces us to slow down, but also speaking them out loud, we get to hear it. We get to hear our own voice saying the things, and then it kind of helps us to gain a little bit of that perspective and get out of the loop. Because really, the main power of the magician is the ability to sort of think, speak, and do. Think, speak, and act, right? Thoughts, words, and deeds. And your thoughts, words, and deeds are what are creating your reality. So we really have to get control over those thoughts. Now, the Two of Swords is peace of mind. It's about making the decision that's, it's about kind of pausing to reach that inner decision, pausing the thought process so that we can choose. Okay? Especially if we're stuck in that loop, we can trust the intuition. Sometimes we can even let the body decide. Yeah. This is a card really that's stepping back from everyone else's opinions, striving for silence. Okay. Even knowing when we don't have to choose, not being pressured into making a choice. Okay. Wait until the answer feels calm and then act. Don't be pressured into any decisions. Okay. And don't get stuck in a thought loop either. When we have clarity, when we have quiet, we will feel the answer, and then we can move forward with that decision. But this is peace. This is like you're going to sleep very well tonight, okay? Because you have a calm energy. You understand that you're prone to overthinking, as I think most cancers are, and you're learning how to deal with that in a healthy way. Now we have our Knight of Swords here, which is a head-first kind of energy. It's momentum. It's bold thinking. It's action. It's decisiveness. Okay? When something needs to be said, you say it. Okay? You're not worried about being liked. You're saying what needs to be said truthfully and clearly. Once you decide what that is, your thought, word, or deed, then you do it with no apology and with no ambiguity, even like with no subtlety either. It's very direct. Okay? This is you moving quickly, but understanding consequences. Okay? You're striving for meaning and for clarity and for purpose. Your ideas are very strong. Okay? And it's not really even about force, it's just about clarity of communication. Speak clearly, act with purpose, and the precision of this magician is really going to be like your superpower right now. Okay? Clear thoughts, precise words, and intentional deeds are going to create the reality. We're going to create the victory for you. Let's look at the mystery card. Yeah. Chariot, right? It's got to be Chariot. It might be some pentacles, maybe a 9 of pentacles again, or 6, maybe a 6 of something. Let's see what we have. The Ace of Pentacles. This is something that you have to decide about, right? This is one point event on the Wheel of Fortune. And when that comes in, it's a gift. You're saying, do I resonate with it? What's my decision going to be? Do I want to reach out and grab it, take it, seize that opportunity? Or do I say, no, this one isn't mine? What does my wisdom tell me? What does my intuition tell me? What am I going to do with this thing? This is a gift. We just have to figure out how to use the gift. Or maybe this is the gift of an exit. Maybe this is Spirit showing us the door somewhere, right? And so I feel like this is kind of representative of every moment of our lives. Every moment is an opportunity to engage with something or to disengage from something. And maybe this is an opportunity that you should seize, take advantage of, and maybe this is really going to, maybe this is the gift that's going to lead you to a major victory, that's going to lead you to more of the good stuff. that's going to, grow into something great. But you've got to be the judge of this. That's what it comes down to, is you being confident with your choices. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to do an extended reading. If you want to stick around, there's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Cancer, usually on Wednesdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.